HelloFresh takes the guesswork and the extra hassle out of planning and preparing delicious meals for dinner. America's #1 meal kit, HelloFresh gives you over 40 recipes to choose from each week. And then your farm-fresh, pre-portioned seasonal ingredients arrive at your doorstep with simple instructions to help you feel like the master chef of your kitchen. And did you know that HelloFresh is cheaper than grocery shopping and 25% less expensive than takeout? HelloFresh has been an awesome addition to our household's dinner routine. We all get involved and cook together, following the pictured step-by-step instructions. It's a fun quality time, and the meals are delicious. Give it a try and see for yourself. Go to HelloFresh.com/50havingitall and use code 50havingitall for 50% off plus free shipping. Again, to get 50% off plus free shipping, go to HelloFresh.com/50havingitall and use code 50havingitall.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Welcome to the Having It All podcast, the show about what it takes to live an abundant, loving life. My name is Matthew Bivens, and each week I'm helping you get out of your head so that you can truly have it all. Let's do it. What's up? What's up? Welcome to the Having It All podcast. My name is Matthew Bivens, and I am very, very excited about the conversation that we're going to be having today. Mostly because I'm not alone today. I am joined here in the studio with my amazing, wonderful, awesome, hilarious wife, Sarah. How are you, Mama?
Hey, I'm awesome. How are you?
I'm great.
Cool.
It's been a while since you've been on the podcast.
It has been a minute.
Yeah. And
longer than a fortnight. You like that word?
The episodes that we do, the conversations that we have are always great. And they tend to be some of the most popular shows. And I think it's because you and I go in.
That's cool.
Yeah. And today's no different. We're about to go in on some stuff.
I'm excited. I have not gotten a lot of prep here, so I'm just like, all right, I'm sitting here. I'm ready.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's going to be a great conversation with Sarah. I'm excited for it. Before we do that, I want to go through the whole regular intro. I want to share some magic. So as you know, Sarah, magic is when you influence yourself, others, and life in an empowering way.
Indeed. And
it's something that you and I have been acknowledging and practicing for, 5.5 years?
Yeah, almost 6 years.
Almost 6 years. We were introduced to the concept of magic through the All-Day Balance game. And it's just this beautiful thing to recognizing when you are influencing yourself, others in life, and just creating amazing things all around you because it's happening all the time.
Yeah. What I love about it is because what you just said, it's always happening. Now this is just a way, a context, a tool with which you can identify it better and then more. And then when you do that, you see actually how it's popping up everywhere, and you also create the space to magnify it and create more of it. So it's always been happening, but it's like anything in our lives that, it's the thing that's always been right there in front of us, but now you see it differently, or you look at it differently, you relate to it differently.
Yeah.
And, it creates this whole new world. So it's cool.
What I really dig about magic is that before this context of magic, I would react to things happening in my life and I would be surprised and excited. I'd say, oh my gosh, look at what just happened.
Yeah, like it just fell in your lap
exactly.
kind of thing. Life happens to you.
Life happens
you're lucky,
to, yep.
unlucky.
And now I am much more aware that I'm the co-creator in it. That I can look at something that happens and be like, yeah, I helped create that.
Yeah, I'm awesome.
Yeah, it's a very different, much different shift. So do you have some magic you want to share?
Sure.
Kick it off. Yeah, you go first.
Lots of magic. Let's see. Well, I'll go back in time for a second to last week at exactly this time because it's a really magical thing. So Mondays are when Maya, our daughter, goes to daycare, goes to preschool. And last Monday, getting ready to go to preschool, I'm in the car with her, driving along, and I hear, bleh! And I turn around and I went, oh, damn. And she had just eaten almond yogurt at our house.
Yeah.
And so she had this pink, like smelly, just all over her. I'm sorry right now, listener, who can't handle that kind of stuff. You're probably like, oh my God. Blah.
She puked. That's what Sarah's saying. She puked all over herself.
And I was like, all right. This is what we're doing. And so at a time in my life where I know I would have just completely freaked out or lost my stuff, or not because I knew she was okay, but just thinking about what that meant, the implications for the day and whatever. So turn around, get her home, strip her, take out the car seat, everything, put her in the tub, clean her up. We sit on the couch together, and then she puked on me.
Yeah.
So it was just like, oh man. So I thought for a second we were going to have to buckle in for a days worth of like head in the trash can type of stuff, but she was fine because toddlers are the weirdest human beings ever, and she was just completely fine the rest of the day. However, we were not going to be those parents who sent her back to school, right, or sent her, late as a result of, because we weren't exactly sure what was going on. So we switched up our day, and we usually work from home that day, and that's the day we can get a lot of stuff done because she's gone all day. But we just, hey, you get 90 minutes here, I get 90 minutes here, flip, flop. And that's what we did. And we made it work. And it was honestly totally fine. I didn't feel that much more drained at the end of the day. And I think that's just due to the reps. I mean, the reps we put in as far as like how we manage ourselves and stress management and relationship to what you said, like you're creating your life around you.
Yeah.
So I don't have to be a victim to any of it. And to have a supportive partner like you, we really took a team approach. So that was really magic to me because that's a day that could have totally thrown everything out of kilter. But instead it just ended up being a day,
totally,
where I happened to get puked on. So
yeah, I agree. That was definitely magical. You influenced yourself powerfully to just flow, because not much we could do in that moment. My magic was last night and this morning. I had been, for my balance chart, I set a goal of getting 90%, and I hit that last night. And it was great. It felt great to hit 90% of my balance chart because previous 2 weeks had been super low. We've been dealing with some of the family stuff, some of the Watson stuff, and I really wasn't making deposits in myself. So last night, I hit 90% of my balance chart. We also wrapped up week 4 of the Trust Challenge. So I was making those social deposits. So I was feeling really filled up. And that rolled into this morning. When I woke up this morning, I knew that we have this great big day in front of us. We have all this time with Maya's at daycare. And I said, okay, before I jump into work, that's what I tend to do in the morning, just jump right into stuff. I really want to make some deposits into myself. So first thing I did was I made the bed. Just a really simple thing. Made the bed. Now the room looks nice and straightened up. Second thing I did, I jumped down and did 25 push-ups. It was awesome. Then I stood up and did 12 deep breaths, or Tai Chi breathing. Then I went out and did 10 pull-ups. And influencing myself to just do one thing after another, all of them were deposits in me, is definitely magic. And I did all of them knowing that you, at that same time, were with Maya. And I said, me taking this 5 minutes to do these different things, I'm going to feel like I, made that time to deposit in myself, to fill my tank back up so that I can now show up powerfully for the rest of my morning, help out with Maya, get her ready to go, do all the things that we need to do. So it was definitely magic for me to influence myself to not just do the one thing, but knock all those things out. And I think that for me, at least, I tend to experience like a domino. Like I flick the lead domino by doing one healthy deposit, one proactive thing, and it just tends to set off a chain reaction where I end up in 5 minutes knocking out 4 different things, getting points on my balance chart, showing up for myself in a lot of different ways. So that was totally magical, and I want to keep that flowing for the rest of the day today, because I want to get another 90 plus on my balance chart, and I just want to feel like I'm depositing into myself all throughout the day. Because on a day like today, it's 9 o'clock. We don't pick Maya up for another 8 hours. It could be very easy to just like head down, go into monk mode, and just go.
Monk mode.
Yeah, that's
Hashtag monk mode, everyone.
That's what I call it when I get really just absorbed in my work and go into that flow. I call it going monk.
I know. When you would tell me that just basically means that's your official way of saying, like, don't bother me.
Yeah, leave me alone. So, yeah, it was magic to make those deposits this morning. And this is magic, too, being here talking to you.
Totally is. So I'll share one more because I thought about it before because you had also mentioned it to me as a possibility for magic. And I was like, yeah. And then I shared what I shared about, Maya and daycare. But to not share this would probably would be weak sauce in my mind. So not being bold. So I will share magic for myself, and maybe you ladies out there can relate to this or get something from this. And that's why I want to share it, or men too, but I'm just speaking from my experience as a woman. So we're always working on, our own personal growth and empowerment, especially around sexual healing and sexual energy and what that is, because so much of our shame, judgment, guilt in society as individuals gets wrapped up in, how we look at sex, how we were taught about sex, yada, yada, yada. So one thing for me that I've been aware of and have been looking at recently in this season of me is my relationship to certain sensations and positions. And one, namely, I want to say from behind because I don't like doggy style. I don't feel like anyway, doggy style, because that's the most understood.
We call it goddess pose.
Yeah, goddess pose. So if you want to reframe that, take that, run with it. You can have that from us. Anyway, that position for me, at times, I'm sure other women can relate. It doesn't feel like the most empowering because that tends to be the one where, because of the way you're physically positioned, it's like you're not looking at each other. Sometimes the woman is face down, ass up, and it's just, anyway. So I don't have to go into why people might have their things about that, but I had my things about that, sensationally, but then also the energy of it. And so I've been working on that. And so something kind of clicked in my brain recently as I was like, okay, how can I reframe this experience? Like, how can I create a new experience of it? To your point of like the domino effect, how can I have just one thing that I can now imprint a new experience of that?
Yeah.
And for me, something just like divine inspiration, call it. I was like, what if I incorporated my vibrator in that position to where, I can have that stimulation? Because for some women, lots of women actually, not just some, they require clitoral stimulation in order to achieve an orgasm or to get to a point of, certain pleasure and sensation. So I was like, what if I incorporated that? And then that just created a different sort of experience for that position. And we had done that once before, I believe. And then we did it again yesterday, and amazing, amazing, and total magic in that I saw a thing that was limiting me, and I chose to lean into that and move through that, and getting crafty and resourceful and thinking about it, like that sort of thinking, especially applied to myself, not just other people, but like for my own personal well-being and healing, is really magical. To take what I know I can do for others, but to put that internally, in more ways than one. And I feel like it's creating now a new relationship. It's like new coding, like new wiring and synapses are being fired now around that, to where I can create an empowering experience of that sexual position. And in turn, with using the vibrator, I feel like it just opened me up, like literally and emotionally, and made me more relaxed, as opposed to sometimes in that position, I'm kind of just like bracing, or I can do it, that sort of attitude, like, okay, cool, I can do this. Let's just like kind of get it over with, and then we can move on to what I like better. But to why not experience it to the fullness that I possibly could? So I wanted to share that as magic, because I feel like people can get something from that, whatever that is, whether it is an actual sexual position that you don't relate to so powerfully. How could you explore that? How could you utilize someone loving and supportive to walk you through that and hold space for you in that? Or just an idea around sex in general, but just to find ways, use your innate gifts and abilities to seek out another way of experiencing something. Because this is my life, and this is my body, and this is my relationship, and this is my sexual energy. Like, it's up to me, and why would I not be experiencing it to the fullness that I know I can? So that's super, super magic for me. So I had to share that. So now I don't get to walk away from this conversation and be like, I held back. So there you go.
Gosh, I have such a big smile on my face right now. I had to take my hat off too. Like literally, I took my hat off at one point.
In there?
Not even that. I just love the boldness in your sharing.
Thank you.
Hell yeah. Like, that's what this stuff is about, man. It's not about, like, you just said it. You would have walked away from this conversation feeling like you withheld.
Yeah. And that to me is lame for me, for who I know myself to be and what I hold myself to. And I think it also kind of diminishes what I've been doing and the experience. And then it cuts people off who could potentially get something really big out of it. Like, why would I do that? Why would I hold on to that and, keep that to myself, all greedily, like, I have the secret and I won't share it. Like, no, expand it, magnify it. So I hope there are women, as a result of hearing that, exploring what it could look like for them to shift something up that isn't working, isn't serving them, isn't empowering them to feel like the goddesses that they are. So there you go.
You got me thinking that I want to take a left turn on this entire conversation and just go down a different path, because I just love it. I love the spontaneity. I love the boldness. This is exactly it. You had a choice of, let me stick in this, what's comfortable. Let me go down this path of not sharing and stay in my fear. Or let me say, fuck it, I'm going to share. And you shared. I freaking love it.
Thanks.
It's the coolest thing. This is exactly what the space for this podcast is about. Abundant, loving life. Showing up powerfully. Showing up with love. HelloFresh takes the guesswork and the extra hassle out of planning and preparing delicious meals for dinner. America's #1 meal kit, HelloFresh gives you over 40 recipes to choose from each week. And then your farm-fresh, pre-portioned seasonal ingredients arrive at your doorstep with simple instructions to help you feel like the master chef of your kitchen. And did you know that HelloFresh is cheaper than grocery shopping and 25% less expensive than takeout? HelloFresh has been an awesome addition to our household's dinner routine. We all get involved and cook together, following the pictured step-by-step instructions. It's a fun quality time, and the meals are delicious. Give it a try and see for yourself. Go to HelloFresh.com/50havingitall and use code 50havingitall for 50% off plus free shipping. Again, to get 50% off plus free shipping, go to HelloFresh.com/50havingitall and use code 50havingitall.
Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
And doing it and talking in a context around something that is about love, connecting in that way, love making. I love it. Okay. All right. Let me regather my thoughts.
Whatever you want to do, I'm cool for. We could do a little bit of both. I don't know I'm just here. I'm just here to hang out with you. So whatever. This is your show.
Yes. All right. We'll see where spirit takes me, because I want to share some listener love now.
Cool.
Move from love into love. And this one, actually, you texted this to me, which is pretty darn cool.
Because this is what I like to do. I like to sit when I'm like in a meeting or I'm in between things or whatever, and there's a little bit of downtime. I like to see your reviews. I like to look through them. I like to look through the reviews of all of our shows, because we have 3 shows collectively. So I just like to check in, because we read them on our shows, and then I just, like to see what feedback people are giving. So here I am, just like sitting somewhere the other night, and I was sifting through your reviews, and I screenshotted it and sent it to you, and I was like, I love reading. Like, people love you.
You did. So I think it was Thursday.
Yeah.
And you texted me and you said, I like sitting and reading how much people love you.
That's
is what
exactly
you wrote.
it. I like it. I get a lot out of it.
Yeah. So I want to read this. This person left an iTunes review, and this is from Jordan P. And it's great because the subject line is listener love.
That's so funny.
And Jordan writes, Matthew, I love you and all that you do. You're such an inspirational role model for young men. I really enjoy how you show vulnerability, and I love your voice. This podcast is practical, and your advice is so useful. You're so relatable, and I look forward to my Tuesdays. Love, Jordan P. That's dope. That's so cool. I think I received that, Jordan. Like, I received that. And I got a big old smile on my face from reading that. And Sarah, I love that you took a screenshot of it and sent it to me because I'm looking at it on my phone right now. I'm looking at it in the text thread that you sent. So, Jordan, thank you for listening. Thank you for just being the mission, the message, living and creating your abundant loving life. And thank you so much for taking a minute to go to iTunes and to leave a rating and review. I love it. I love it. Such a huge deposit for me. So thanks. Anybody else, if you want to connect with me, if you want to leave a rating, review, subscribe to the podcast, that would be amazing. That's such a beautiful and simple way to support the show and to support the message that we talk about here. You can do so over at iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts. And you can also hit me up on my email, mattcbivens@gmail.com. I love getting into conversations with you all. Instagram as well, Matthew_Bivens. And you're the one who manages that Instagram account.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
You do most of the posts.
Mm-hmm.
And I take care of connecting with people via the DM.
DM.
Yeah. I thought about maybe doing a story too. I don't know how to do it, but I'm going to try to figure it out.
I'll try and teach you later.
Yeah.
That'd
Although
be
I
fun.
don't want to do like a 10-second thing and a 10-second thing. I just want to talk like a normal video.
Well, you could do it live, or you could have a IGTV station. That's a whole. You're not ready for that. We'll start out baby steps.
Yeah. Okay. I'm still collecting myself.
Really?
Yeah. Where do I want to go with this?
Well,
You kicked the door open, so we're going to go right through that door.
okay.
I love the conversation about sexual healing.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I, you just shared, with your magic around how you identified something that wasn't working for you or something that you saw opportunity in.
Right.
And you were proactive about doing something about it. So there's a couple little elements here because with a number of my clients, we're reading 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And we've been talking about habit number 1, be proactive. So I love the fact that you identified that you in that goddess position, and I've experienced it with you. And it's been something that we've talked about. In that goddess position for you, it's more of there's more tightness, like tensing.
Right.
And I don't know, maybe you can describe a little bit more of your mindset that you experience when you step into that position that you think creates that tight, that holding,
Yeah.
versus, that more peaceful, relaxed, surrendered state.
Well, certainly the least performed position for me over the years. Collectively, I'm thinking back to past partnerships and relationships. I think there's a few it never even happened, and then maybe 1 or 2 it did. But I think there's a lot of can be a lot of conversation about what that position means. Again, because I think of like what it seems like in terms of the power balance, that the woman is somehow disempowered by that position, and that it's like a man asserting his authority and whatever. And again, it's like not face to face. So then there's a certain lack of intimacy that I feel like gets created around it. And that's just, I'm thinking back to when I was talking about it with a past partner. That's just the perennial, like what you see in like a porn or like a prostitution kind of scenario, or you see on the TV shows. Like that's just the way that it's done, kind of like wham bam. Again, like there's not like, I haven't seen any depiction or heard of any scenario where that was like a loving, connected, like explosive, like beautiful sort of engagement. It's just not really seen like that, is to like get it in. And I remember a conversation with a past partner sharing, like, I don't really feel so cool about that position. He's like, yeah, me neither. And like, which I'm sure he was lying. I mean, or maybe not. But maybe I'm sure there's, men out there, partners who don't want to make their women, their partners feel uncomfortable. So they don't push certain things, or they won't advocate for certain things that they actually do want to experience because of what that could be creating as far as expectation or pressure, or just making a woman feel anything less than, like everything's cool. So I totally get that. But I think we were both just being inauthentic and scared and all kinds of stuff. So it just never really happened there. And, probably didn't happen for a long time with us, or if it like, I don't know. I'm trying to think back to it. But okay, so
here's what I want to extract, because I think there's something that I want to, like, the essence of what we're talking about is those beliefs, that we run in our minds and those stories that we tell ourselves, particularly when it comes to sex, because that's the context of this conversation, impact so much the experience that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's fascinating that we go in with all these preconceived ideas that, in this case, that one position means this, has to feel like this. It is indicative of, there's no connection or not loving, all of this stuff. And it's really interesting when what we experience as we bring all of our conversation, all of our fears into the bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the reasons why I love sexual healing in particular is because when we're in that context, when we're in the bedroom or wherever it is that you connect like that, there is this idea of vulnerability, right? Like, you're nude, typically. So and you're physically you're most vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
Yet we still come in really guarded.
Mm-hmm.
And we still come in very walled off in a lot of ways. And for you in that position, I've experienced that, right? Like, guarded, walled off, you're bringing in the conversations of the things you've seen in porn, things you've seen on TV and movies, conversations you've had with other people. And that's what I was pulling from you sharing.
Yeah. These thoughts that it would, first of all, be physically painful because of, again, the depictions, just the way you see it, like, oh my God, like, that has to hurt. Like, the way that he's like drilling her or ramming her like that. No. So just that thought of being like, that's going to hurt. So then when you think it's going to hurt, like, you're already preparing, your physical body for pain. And so you're anticipating in that way.
Yeah. And you're paying attention to the pain.
Right. So there's that. And then, probably a lack of control. So, just the way that is physically set up, that I don't have a lot of control of how it's moving and this and that. And just that, it's not for me.
Yeah.
I certainly didn't see that as a position for me. Like, that's not for me. That's totally for the dude.
Yeah.
So that's some of the stuff that I'm sure had built and been confirmed and like looked for ways to confirm that. And then that's like just a small mix of what I brought to the table when it came to that.
And so I love the fact that that idea came to you to introduce that vibrator, that thing that can help open yourself up energetically to receive and to experience the position and the space as being completely loving and nurturing and healing, that's exactly the space that you and I intend to create when we connect like that.
Right, we do. And what is what it is, right? I want to say it's unfortunate because I certainly feel, and my heart hurts for people who want to be experiencing their growth or who are, particularly women, but they don't have that space for that, whether it's because their partnership isn't at a place that's ideal for that sort of growth or expansion, or they just they haven't created a space for that or outlet for that. So to your point, like, the space that was created was needed and essential to my bringing the proactive energy, right? Because I could have the proactive energy, but what if you had come up with some bullshit of like, no, or like you just weren't open to that, or you were didn't want a vibrator to come into the bedroom? Like, that's a thing.
Yeah.
Men intimidated by that, which I get, but there's a lot around that. Or if you weren't holding that space for me to move through it to a new level, it can get stalled, it can get stagnant. Yeah. So,
yeah. So I wanna flip this around because we've been focusing a lot of your sexual healing and the experience for you, and it's interesting because we both have been experiencing being proactive in a few areas, and for me, it's looked like my ejaculation, and I realized a few weeks ago how much I was forcing the ejaculation to stay down.
Okay.
And I was feeling the impact of that in my body. I was seeing it. The impact of, the sensation of orgasm comes up, and force, and tightening all those muscles and doing all these different things, saying, oh, I need to pause, I need to go use the restroom, I need to go do all these different things. And recognizing that was not working for me, and seeing that there was an opportunity in there.
And all of that is because you don't want to ejaculate at the point where you're feeling that you're like, no, not yet, either because of time or you don't want it to look a certain way or whatever. But I'm sure there's a number of reasons, but the purpose is to like not come at that point because it's not time. Like your mind, you haven't decided that's time yet. So
yes, because the conversation is that's too quick.
Right.
You haven't done your job.
Yeah.
She hasn't been fully satisfied.
Right.
She's only had 1 orgasm, 2 orgasms, whatever the conversation is.
Mm-hmm.
You're a punk.
Yeah.
You're a little boy. All of that shit.
Gosh.
Right? Because, it's so fascinating because with you brought your conversation into the position, which impacted how you experienced the position.
Right.
For me, I brought all of that conversation into the bedroom, which impacted directly my experience of myself whenever I would feel the little tickle of the orgasm. Like, yeah, the little tickle. So for example, if 10 is having the orgasm, when I would get to like 6 or 7, when I started to approach 6 or 7, I realized, okay, we're kind of moving into that territory. Then I would have a lot of those thoughts. And in the past, I would use very forceful methods to keep everything in. I would squeeze that muscle, whatever it's called, that muscle that cuts off the pee stream in dudes. I would squeeze that muscle like crazy, and I would just hold like every fiber of my body. And I realized recently that doesn't work for me. That doesn't work for me to do that. And upon further reflection, after the experience was over and everything, I thought to myself, the reason why it doesn't work is because it's incredibly forceful.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
And I'm forcing my body to do something because of fear.
Right.
The fear being premature ejaculation.
Mm-hmm.
The fear being having this orgasm when I don't want to. The fear being the bullet point list of all the things, all the conversations.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was my realization a few weeks ago. And that has been my current area of opportunity, because I know there's others.
Yeah.
That's been my current area of opportunity. It is surrendering. It is allowing my body to flow the way that it's going to flow. It's fully accepting, myself in every scenario, especially when it comes to the bedroom, because a lot of times I wouldn't accept certain things. I didn't want to accept certain things about myself. And then, because we talked about how you were proactive, I put on that proactive hat myself and said, okay, I still want to be able to have the, 45-minute to an hour long session that I've experienced in the past, right? And what can I do? What skills can I learn? What can I tap into that's going to allow me to have that beast mode experience that I know is within me, but doesn't come out of a place of force?
Right.
And so what I remembered is that in our game days that we take, when we're sitting in squat holds for 30 minutes and, our legs and our back and our butt are burning because we've been sitting in these positions, what we use to find flow and to surrender in those scenarios is breath.
Yeah.
And so I remembered articles that I'd read in the past, passages from different books, about incorporating intentional breathing into the bedroom in order to move that sexual energy. And so I think, what did I do afterwards? Went on YouTube. Yeah, I went on YouTube and I started to look up, tantric breathing, different videos, different things on how to incorporate breath. And one of the things that I had learned about years and years and years ago, which fascinated me as a man, is being able to separate ejaculation from orgasm.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah. And so that connected with me big time a couple weeks ago when I'm experiencing all of these things that are trying to prevent orgasm, but I still would love to have a beautiful, physical, super pleasurable experience. So I started doing my research, started reading different things, started watching these different videos, and just connecting with this idea that I can create the sexual experience that I want, and it doesn't have to come from force. It can come from flow. It can come from surrender, right? Because I know what it's like to sit in that squat hold for 30 minutes and to surrender to it while you're feeling all the burn and to be able to surrender using breath. So that's what I've started doing. And I think we've connected, 3 or 4 times in the past several weeks since I've been more intentional about that. And like yesterday, for example, I was telling you I'm using my breath now.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really a beautiful experience that we had. I really appreciate the space that you and I created last night, because we both gave ourselves and one another permission to explore and to work on things, right? Like while, you're in goddess position, I'm behind you, and you're using the vibrator and exploring what it looks like to open up energetically and to relax and to let go of your own disempowering thoughts, all those things that you would bring into that position. I'm doing the same thing, and we're talking about it. And like that to me is such a different way to approach sex.
Yeah.
Like we weren't doing that years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't workshopping it.
Right.
It's like, no, that's what you
trial and error of what works.
Yeah. And communicating.
Right.
And saying beforehand, hey, my intention for this connection, for this lovemaking is I really want to work on my breath. I really, like, this is me talking. Like, I really want to be able to, when I recognize that I'm feeling a lot of tension in my penis because I'm getting ready to come, I want to use my breath, and I want to inhale and bring that energy in, and exhale and just move that energy all throughout my pelvis, move it all throughout my body. That's how I want to use my breath. That's what I'm intending to do today. And then for you to say, great, I really want to experience goddess position, and I want to pull out my vibrator, and I want to be able to, we'll put it in your words. What was your intention that you shared with me prior to lovemaking yesterday?
I wanted to continue to feel out that position in a different way that allowed me to feel different things physically, emotionally, and just create a new experience around it. And so in my mind, what that looked like was creating an orgasm in that position, because that is by far the position that least number of orgasms have occurred, if any, in the past. And so what if, with the support of the vibrator and just like the different sensational aspect that created, and then if I were to climax and have an orgasm in that position, that it could lay down a new foundation for that, and this like connection of, mind and brain of like, see, like it's possible, it can happen, you can experience it in this position now, like own that and be empowered by that. It's just like in any sort of physical pursuit, you think about a sport or when you're working out or something, to do something, I mean, anything, it doesn't even have to be a physical endeavor like sports, but when you connect a result of something with your brain, you can now associate that thing with that thing you're doing. It's what your kids are doing every day as they learn new things. We watch Maya. So by creating a new experience around that position, I could now create a new possibility. Totally.
So what I love about this conversation, and what I want to highlight now for everyone listening, is, there's several things that truly, truly inspire me about you and I in our sexual relating and our sexual healing lately. The first is that we recognized that we're both creating experiences in the bedroom that we didn't enjoy.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
When you earn your degree online at Arizona State University, you get everything the nation's most innovative university has to offer. The same internationally recognized faculty, the same nationally ranked programs, the same degree. Learn more at asuonline.asu.edu.
We recognize that through the scripting that we had, through our old beliefs, through our own disempowering thoughts, through our own self-judgments, whatever it was, we were bringing all of this stuff into this space, this space that, we intend to hold as a healing, powerful, loving space. We were bringing our stuff into it.
Yeah.
And that was impacting our experience. It was impacting your experience physically. It was impacting my experience physically. Both of us probably emotionally as well. So we recognized that was going on. We saw within that an opportunity. We saw within that the opportunity that, it doesn't have to be this way. For you, you were saying, I don't have to experience Goddess position this way. For me, I was saying, I don't have to experience, my relationship to orgasm this way. And then from there, we both were proactive in seeking out something to, as you put it, make that new connection.
Yeah.
Right? Make that new connection, make that new experience. We were proactive. We went about creating a different experience for ourselves. And the final thing that I truly love about it is that we were talking about it together. This wasn't a secret that you were working on by yourself. This wasn't something that I never shared with you that I was just dealing with on my own. We talked about it outside of the bedroom. We were both so aware of where each of our opportunities were. We were both so aligned to working on them together, to exploring within sex, within lovemaking, using that space as something other than just something that feels good, something that's about making babies, something that we do because we're married. Mm-hmm. We were using that space for healing, like legit healing. And I love the fact that you and I have developed this context around sex and sexual intimacy that includes healing within it. It's freaking amazing. It's beautiful because within that, you and I have become more connected. Like there's a deeper connection between you and I when we each hold that space of like supreme vulnerability and trust for one another. Like I had to sit there and trust that I could share with you that I'm working on moving my sexual energy and experiencing an orgasmic state without experiencing ejaculation. And I had to trust that you would hold that information and accept it, that you wouldn't judge me, that you wouldn't laugh at me, that you wouldn't think that I was less of a man. Like there's a ton of trust in there and so much trust that you had to place within me.
Yeah, that you could be comfortable with and know that there are parts and times where I'm like, no, that doesn't work. And that you won't take that personal, or that you won't think then that like it has to get shut down because I did reach a point of discomfort. Like it totally makes sense if, you're with a woman and it's like, like that's sort of this, that you just like, all right, done. Like I'm going to stop and I'm never going to do that again because I don't want to hurt you or make you uncomfortable. But if there's that willingness, and if I'm saying to you, no, it's okay. Let's just, be aware of that and let's move into that and like, let's guide each other through it, that you're open to that so that you're not like afraid of what could potentially come up. What could potentially come up? Yeah, I've cried during sex after whatever the noises change. Like, so to just be open to that, I think is huge. Trust that you're cool if there are parts as we're figuring out the sensation of it that maybe it's not the most stimulating for you or isn't the most arousing or isn't what would get you to ejaculation, that I'm cool with that you're not sitting back there behind me like, okay, this is boring. This is not for me. Like, this isn't doing anything for me. Like, this is just for her. I'm just helping her. And I get nothing out of this, that isn't happening. There's a whole lot of trust that has to be built and nourished.
Absolutely.
For that. Cause it's an extremely vulnerable position. And, after having a baby, that's a big thing too. I mean, not just how I feel in my body and how my body moves, but like what's going on up in there, like what's changed and shifted since having Maya. And, it's like a super sensitive part of you, especially certain parts of the wall. And when it gets poked or prodded or mushed, it's like, oh my God, like it can really light you up one way or the other. So just being trusting and open and vulnerable with such a intimate, special part of you.
Yeah.
Is huge.
And you know what? It takes time to get there.
Hell yeah.
I mean, you and I were not having this type of communicative, open, understanding type of sex in the beginning of our relationship, because neither of us were willing to go there. Neither of us were willing to open that, to create that space, to be honest. And I'm very grateful that we've gotten to where we are. And I love the fact that we can go into a sexual experience with a certain intention, with a certain context in mind. And that context can change.
Right.
You know, and sometimes when we get down, it's like we're about to get down and it's not workshopping.
Right.
Right. It's just you and I are both there to experience ourselves in that powerful way and to experience one another. And we don't have to set an intention and we don't have to talk things out beforehand. We just jump in and we connect and it's explosive and beautiful. And then we also have the option to say, hey, my intention is this. My intention is that. I'd like to experience this. I want to, and that is amazing as well. Like we have, there's a spectrum of sexual experiences we get to have, which I don't know about you, but in previous relationships, it was pretty single note. It was like, we jump in bed, we do this. I'm pretty sure you're going to do this position, then this position, then this position. You're going to sound just like this. It was very like
one flavor.
Yeah, it's very one flavor. Like, and I was creating that. I was co-creating that. So I'm grateful for the strides that we have made because they haven't been easy.
No, it's not pretty sometimes.
Yeah.
And that all within the midst of, this is another conversation, I'm sure, that all of this, what you just mentioned, like the healing and the growth, in the midst of, like being married and having a kid and working and running a house together, like all that other stuff is circulating and orbiting around as well. Like it's not like we just spend all day, every day working on our sexual relationship. There's other things and there's other parts that are integrated, which impact the bedroom and vice versa. So it's like, if other things aren't flowing so well, then that has impact in the bedroom as well.
So let's end by talking about why this is so important to us. Why do we make this such a high priority that, we seek out sexual healing frequently? We seek out experiences where we get to expand ourselves in that way within that sexual context. We seek out opportunities to experience ourselves with different people sexually because of blank. Like, why is it? I'll start. I'll share for me. Like the reason why, I am so committed to this with you is because of something that you said a little bit earlier, a few seconds ago. It impacts everything else. It impacts everything else. When you and I are vibrating at that powerful level, it impacts who we are as parents. It impacts who we are as business people. It impacts who we are as co-hosts and who we are as friends, as family. And, I love the fact that we have created this space with sexual intimacy where we do get to deepen that connection, where we do get to step into an arena and experience ourselves in different ways. There's so much self-work that happens in sex for us. And that's huge. That's tremendous. I get to go in and work on confidence. I get to go in and work on serving. I get to go in and work on, being incredibly mindful and present with my body. And all of these things just help me to be a more powerful, greater version of myself. And I get to, do that in a space where I get to connect with you at the same time and hold space for you. Oh my gosh, absolutely. I love it. So for me, it's, creating that space for sexual healing is an opportunity for me to grow. It's an opportunity for us to grow. And through that, everything else that I touch gets impacted. What about for you?
I would say it's probably similar to what you said. I'm sure the energy and the essence is the same, but I'll word it differently. And that's that I have not experienced any other thing, any other area like nutrition or exercise or whatever, insert there. I haven't experienced anything else when done and engaged with, when entered into with this sort of intentionality, creates this sort of epic results. So in other words, it is the biggest impact, the biggest bang for your buck. I would say. I just haven't experienced the breakthrough and the transformation and like the shift in my confidence, my relationship with self as vast, as grand, as big with anything else.
I get that.
So if that's the case, then yeah. Then it's important. Then it needs time, it needs energy, it needs nurturing. If that's what I'm saying, that if this has been, it's not the only way, it's all necessary. But I haven't experienced any other thing, isolated in its sphere to have as big of an impact as this has and does.
What a conversation. This was all inspired and kicked off by your magic.
Cool.
And so, this is absolutely not what I initially wanted to talk about.
That's cool. That's awesome, cool. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Go in with a certain idea and just become something else.
So I appreciate you for being bold and for sharing, for being courageous, because you didn't have to talk about this. You didn't have to bring this up. And this is such a beautiful example for everyone listening. What the possibility is when you operate from love. This conversation happened because Sarah operated from a place of love. Had she not done that, we wouldn't have had a conversation. We would have had a great conversation, but this was a beautiful conversation in its spontaneity, in the fact that it was so organic and so real and so raw. And babe, you created the possibility for that by saying, I have another piece of magic. And so for you listening, I want you to think, where have you shut down the possibility of beautiful things happening in your life because you've been a little bit afraid, you've been timid, you've been withholding? Where is it happening right now? That if you just tap into that courageous part of you, because I know you're freaking courageous, you wouldn't be listening to this podcast if you weren't courageous. So when you tap into that courageous part of you and you move from your heart, you get out of your head and you move from your heart and you move with love, what opens up? What possibilities open up? I guarantee there's magic on the other side of that. 100%. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this episode. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this conversation with Sarah. Email me, mattcbivens@gmail.com. Ask us more questions. We tapped into a lot of different things in this conversation. And we turned over a number of stones. So if any of those things had you wanting more, if you're like, oh my gosh, you start talking about this, go deeper, go more. Let me know. We would love to jump into another conversation that's inspired by a question that you have or feedback that you have, a comment that you have. If you want to share some of your fears, if you want to release some of those things, I'm happy to hold that space for you. So hit me up, mattcbivens@gmail.com. Hit me up on Instagram, Matthew_Bivens. And if you want to connect with Sarah directly, because Sarah is such a powerhouse. I mean, you got a taste of her boldness and her intention and her heart and her courage and her compassion and her sexiness and her goddessness in this conversation. You just got a little teeny tiny taste. If you want to connect with her, you can do so. What email do you want people to reach out?
Sarah, Sarah, @sarahbivens.com.
Where else? What about Instagram?
Instagram, Sarah M. Bivens is my handle.
Awesome. Sarah with an H.
Sarah with an H.
Yeah.
Yep. And you can check out my show, Balance and Motherhood.
Yeah.
For juicy conversations about balance and motherhood, those two topics, those two worlds, and how they can collide and integrate and blend together in harmony, and how that is possible to be a mama. And it's funny, I have a lot of non-moms that listen to the show as well, who just get a lot out of it, who are either in preparation for motherhood, or, I mean, it really is universal conversation. It's just motherhood is the arena in which I'm practicing my balance right now. So all kinds of stuff. We get into sex and sexual intimacy, healing, confidence, stress, all that beautiful stuff.
Yeah. And it's great. I get to produce Sarah's show, so I'm seeing the episodes and I'm publishing them. And you have a lot of raw, vulnerable, honest sex-related conversations on your show.
I do.
Body-related conversations on your show.
Yeah, I've done a number of sex episodes, I think 4 or 5 in the past year of the show, and wouldn't you believe it, they're some of the top episodes.
Yeah.
Body image. I've had breakdowns on the mic personally. There's episodes of me crying about stuff that's going on. It's just, it's all out there.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Thank you.
And you're amazing.
Thank you.
You're amazing. And Sarah, by the way, this is kind of like a little secret. She also coaches folks one-on-one.
Oh.
So if anybody out there is looking to engage in really intentional one-on-one conversations, maybe around sex, maybe around your conversation around sex, about anything else, Sarah is one of those people. So reach out to her, sarah@sarahbivens.com. You can connect, kick off a conversation with her. And babe, I'm just so grateful to you for connecting with me right now in this conversation. It was beautiful.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, you're awesome. All right, everybody. My name is Matthew Bivens. This over here is Sarah Bivens.
Yeah.
And here is to you having it all. Quick note about the Having It All podcast. I am not a doctor nor a licensed therapist. I'm a guy with a story and a passion for conscious conversation. My thoughts, opinions, and beliefs are my own. So please consult with your doctor or healthcare provider regarding any questions or issues you have related to your personal physical or mental health.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.